In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a lead magnet generator that will double or triple or even quadruple your cold outreach campaigns, because you will insert not only a basic personalized AI email, but the whole lead magnet or a presentation that will look like these slides with unique headline, the problem statement, the action plan that this business can take in order to level up their game. So you can imagine that you have your own lead list. Like in this case, I have this simple lead list with a couple of leads in my Airtable. And for each and every lead, we would generate a personalized lead magnet. And why would you use this system? Basically, whenever you're using cold outreach, the more personalization you make, the higher the reply rate is. So nowadays, all of these AI automation agencies are just offering a very simple AI automation where you basically go to the website and they say that, oh, you're working in this niche, here's how AI can help you. And basically what this system does, it just level ups this personalization, and instead of just basic AI generated text in your cold outreach campaigns, you would send a full presentation explaining what are you doing, what do you know about this niche, and how your services will level up their business game, what you can offer for them, and why you are the best choice in this case. So instead of just writing a very simple email showcasing that you saw their LinkedIn or website, you would generate a personalized presentation including the lead name, as well as explaining the lead information and how you can help them. So in this case, I have a lead list of marketing agencies. I have their websites and titles, and I'm offering AI automation services. So in the end result, I'm getting a full presentation of how I can help these digital agencies implement AI automation and what the steps they need to make in order to bulletproof their lives in this AI automation age. In this presentation, we have a headline: transform your digital agency AI automation blueprint for 2025, how leading agencies like Smart Sites can save up to 30 hours per week through strategic AI implementation. And as you see, the lead name is Smart Sites. So this personalization is done specific for each of the lead we are having. We are explaining the problem today, that in today's competitive landscape, recent studies show that 67% of agencies are struggling with this balance while scaling their operation. 78% of agency time is consumed by repetitive tasks, and all of this research is done by AI. So I'll show you how we get these numbers by just using the Perplexity API in order to get this whole research set up. So we have a problem statement, we have a competitive edge, and how we can help them so we can reduce operational cost and enhance team productivity and scale their growth. How we can do that? Integrating AI systems will help your team to adopt the AI and will train them, as well as we would ensure the data security and compliance. So in this case, we'll have a full setup, full package offered for this lead in this wonderful presentation. And we also include the 90-day AI implementation roadmap in this case, so how we would work and what offer we are suggesting, as well as the call to action button where we can just book a call with us and move on. So this is the whole system in a bird's eye, and now I want to show you how you can build the system on your own. So this whole system is set up in NA10. I will show you this whole process step by step and how you can build this on your own, or if you don't want to spend all this time, you can just grab a free template down in the description below, and all of this setup will be ready to use on your own too. So how the system really works, basically we're grabbing the information from our lead list. So in this case we are using Airtable, so we have a couple of leads where we include the title and the website of our lead, so we just need only this lead list. And basically you can get this lead list on Apollo or Apify or just on Fiverr or Upwork. When you're having this lead list, you only need the website, and after that the whole process will be automatically done for you. So this whole automation starts in Airtable. After that we are getting the data. That data is scraped. So at first we scrape the each and specific lead website. After that, the research is done by Perplexity agent that will just gather all this information around the lead and the market we are in. Moving on, we generate an outline for this whole presentation. After we have an outline, the lead magnet creator is generating a full slides content. We want to insert a couple or one image in this presentation, so that's why I'm adding up an image prompt generator that would basically generate an image prompt for our AI image generator done on Replicate. So I'll show you how you can automatically do all these image creation as well. And after we have our own lead magnet creator, but after we have an image prompt and image, we want to generate an HTML document that would later will convert it to PDF. And when we have that PDF, we save it in our Airtable for us to use in our campaigns or just to add into our existing cold outreach campaigns. So this is the system summary, and now I want to show you how each of these nodes really works and how you can use this whole system. So to start, we have a Airtable base. It will basically insert the title of the lead, the website, and the offer we are serving. So basically, the lead is, in this case, the leads are in the marketing agency, but I'm offering automation services, so that's why I'm including this information. When we want to integrate Airtable to NA10, we always need to have this button columns that basically will send all this raw information to NA10. So that NA10 scenario would have the title, the website, and the offer we are offering to this specific lead. So this information is mandatory for the whole setup to really work. So we have a button column where we basically send the webhook and with the record ID. So we send the webhook ID. So whenever we press a button, this whole information is started and the workflow is started. So as you see, this whole workflow starts by just pressing the Airtable button. So I'll stop this scenario for the moment, but later I'll show you this whole setup and how this system really works. If we want to send the information, we need this button. So we need to find the button column type, insert the simple URL formula that will basically include the quotes, your specific webhook URL that you got, question mark, the record ID that will equal to the record ID. So in this case, you just need to write the simple formula. Of course, you can ask ChatGPT to generate a very simple one as well for you too, but I'm using this template all the time and it's really effective. So that is how you send this information to the Airtable. And basically we have a very simple webhook with all this data, and we are sending only the record ID. So in this case, we have a get Airtable node. So get record node. So you could just see and find a get a record node in Airtable. After that, after you have this node, you just need to insert the record ID that you are having from the specific webhook. So as you see, we have that record ID in the query string. So we can just copy paste that or just insert the json.query.record ID after selecting our base and table. So that is a simple manual setup that I'm using to just forward the data. After that, I have an edit fields node that will just take this information and give me a very simple information list that I will later on reference in my own NA10 scenario. So we have a title, the website and services. You just basically copy paste all these values that we got from the Airtable for the later reference and more easy mapping. When we have the website, we can start to scrape the website. And I have a very simple website scraper setup that is basically a very simple HTTP request that will get the information, and we would insert the website of our lead as well as the Jina API. So Jina API not only scrapes the website as a very simple scraper would do, but it just summarizes and provides a more clean HTML with only the content that is useful for the AI. So instead of all these high HTML tags and whatnot, we have a more clean HTML that is more useful to read, and the AI wouldn't get so many mistakes, as well as it would be cheaper to run because there would be way less tokens instead of just giving the raw HTML to this system. So that is how this scraper works. After that, we get all this wonderful data that we can feed into our research agent that will have a Perplexity tool set up to do a further research. So the research agent is an agent with this system prompt. I can quickly show you. Of course, you don't need to copy paste it because all these templates will be down below in the description. But basically, I'm saying that you're an industry insight specialist who creates a value-focused research that aligns with specific service offerings. So you would research an industry based on the target company profile as well as the website content. You will have a Perplexity tool that will research the internet and find relevant articles, studies, statistics, or any relevant data to include in our lead magnet. And I'm just showcasing the research process as well as providing some guidelines and output structure. So just a basic prompting in this case. And that is the system prompt. And for the user prompt, I'm just referencing the whole data that it needs to know in order to do this research properly. So I'm saying that you need to have the company title we want to pitch our services is the company title, the main website summary, I'm referencing the website scraper, the services we are providing, once again I'm referencing the services from our Airtable, and I'm saying don't hard sell them. I just want to give this information for the context, so that this wouldn't be like a pitch slide or something like that, but just available content with a very slide selling. And for the context, this is the date. So I think that it's pretty useful to always give the exact date for our AI agents, because when we are using these tools like Perplexity, sometimes having the exact date is more efficient because we will know what sources are old and what are not. So in this case, the information quality would be much higher. And basically that's it. After feeding this prompt, research agent will use a Perplexity tool. So I just added the Perplexity tool that will scrape the internet and find all these relevant links. So while this process is doing, I can show you how you can do this too. So whenever you are having a research agent, just add a tool by pressing this button and find the tool you want to use. So of course you can use a setup tools like Airtable tool, AWS Lambda tools, or whatever you want, as well as using different workflows that will act as a separate tool. In this case, I'm also using a different workflow that is a very basic HTTP request to Perplexity to gather the data that research agent will send. So I can show you my whole very simple scenario that this specific agent is using. So it is using Perplexity API. So if you don't know what Perplexity is a best research agent that will help you to find relevant information on the internet, and it also has an API. So Perplexity has a pretty straightforward documentation on how you can use the Perplexity API. In my case, you can just go to the docs.perplexity.ai and API reference, select the curl and copy paste the curl command. And after that, just insert this curl command to your own HTTP request by pressing the import curl. After that, you will have all this automation set up automatically, and you just need to change a couple of things. So that's how easy you can set up, and I can show you how I set up my scenario. So the trigger is execute workflow trigger. So basically this whole workflow will start after our agent execute this workflow. After that, we have a HTTP request to Perplexity, where we insert the post method, we add the Perplexity URL, we add our API token, and in the most important part, the JSON body part, we are writing a very simple prompt. So you're a helpful content research and do the comprehensive market research on this topic, and we insert the query that was sent from the AI agent. And because sometimes this query from AI agents tends to be pretty long, I'm also inserting some replace function that would delete empty spaces and other things that sometimes break this automation. And if you want to see how this whole process looks in practice, I can select the execution and show you the last execution that we got. So basically, we got the query from the Perplexity agent, from the research agent, what are the specific benefits and ROI metrics of AI automation services for digital marketing agencies in 2025 and 2025. And we get a bunch of citations and sources, 90 different sources for this topic, as well as the research done by Perplexity agent. So based on the research results and current trends, here are the key benefits and ROI metrics of AI automation services for digital marketing agencies. And as you see, we get in each and every time we get about 3 different calls to Perplexity with 3 different questions done automatic by research agent. So it basically calls 3 times this Perplexity tool, and after that it summarizes all this information into the complete report with all this information that will be later used in content writing. So as you see, this agent not only writes the content itself, but also includes relevant links. So for example, I can always see why 65%, for example, see significant SEO improvements. So I can just select the this URL, go to the Google, and it will reference the 77 AI statistics and trends to quote in 2025. So for our own research, we can use this information. And as you see, it's like 10 days old source, so it's very late. So it's very new source that I can use and reference. So that's how the system works. The last part in our Perplexity API scenario is edit fields tabs. Well, I basically just insert the response, where I reference the message content as well as the citations. So whenever this Perplexity API is run, I can show you, whenever this automation is run, I reference the content. So whatever content we get from the Perplexity, as well as the citation. So I want to reference me sources, as you saw in my research agent output. That's why I also send the citations from the Perplexity, that it would include all these citations that will be later referenced by my own research agent. And that's how the system works. I'm reusing this Perplexity scenario all the time whenever I want my agents to have an access to the Perplexity API. And now we can move on to the outline creator. So here's just a basic prompt for Claude Sonnet model. So I'm using Anthropic model to generate an outline, the lead magnet, as well as the image prompt. So we can also find all these different models and LLMs by just pressing Advanced AI and selecting whatever node or model you want to use. So I'm using AI agents whenever I want for this AA nodes to do some automatic work, like working with Perplexity API. But whenever I have a possibility to use the rigid, structurized outputs from the AI, I'm always using the OpenAI or basic LLM chain. So in this case, I'm using a basic LLM chain because it allows me to add different models, Azure, the DeepSeek, the Google Gemini, whenever model you want to use. You can add this. I'm using the Anthropic. It fully works for the system, and I'm happy with the results. So for the outline creator prompt, what we have a very simple system prompt where I follow the same pattern, where I insert the role, task, input data, the SOPs for this agent to work through and the specific output format I wanted to always provide with me. So in this case, for all of this lead magnet generator slides, I will always have the 7-slide system where I insert the specific parts in this case. So I will always have a cover slide where I just have a title and subtitle, the problem slide explaining the problem and how what problem exists nowadays in the market and how we can help with them. We provide the solution for the problem. We include the relevant research and data in this case, just to provide proof that we know what we are talking and that we can really help and that existing problems are really worth solving. We insert the common problems. So basically we are saying what these are the common problems that are faced by different agencies that are starting to implement this offering or just want to implement this offering. The action steps, so whatever practical step this company needs to take in order to level up their game in this case. And then we always have a call to action slide where we insert the basic call to action for this agent. So this is the outline only, so this agent doesn't generate a content itself but just generates an outline based on the research and the content around the company that we are offering. So in the user prompt, I'm just also referencing all this different data. So I'm repeating the scraped website information. I also include the research done on the industry, and I repeat the information that this lead magnet is targeted by targeted to this company, the data we get from the Airtable. We are offering this services. So keep in mind that the services we are offering is not connected to the title of a company. So basically I'm just saying that this company, the good marketer, the smart sites, are not selling the AI automation services, because I'm selling the AI automation services in this case. So I want to reference my own selling and not the companies we are targeting. From my own experience, saw that sometimes AI just mixes this thing up. That's why I included this clear statement in my user prompt for it to not mix this up and to have this information for the better context. And I just repeat this same information, and now I insert the task that it needs to generate an outline for lead magnet based on the client's information and our offering. So that's how this system really works, and I can just quickly show you the end result that we get from the research done by Perplexity as well as the scraped website. So it takes a while, but the end result is really professional. So after a couple of seconds, we have our outline created. So we can look through the content we got. So we got like the problem slide explaining the digital agency challenge that is happening right now, the solution slide, so how automation can help digital agencies, what are the content overview, research underlying this whole report, what numbers we can insert in our slides. So 36.6% industry is growing. So basically we just insert a bunch of information and research in our outline for later to reference in the lead magnet creator. So one AI node just generates an outline, the second one generates a content itself. So I just repeat the same process all over again. I always tend to separate the workflow, so I don't always ask one AI to do all this task, because if AI would need to generate an outline and as well as do the content itself, quality tends to be lower instead of separating the workflows and having different AI's nodes to do different tasks. So in this case, I'm asking for this lead magnet generator to generate the content based on the outline that past AI node generated, and following the same format where I insert the role, task, the input data, the SOPs, and the specific output format. So I have a very specific output format for each of the slides. So each of the slides will have a lead magnet title, cover title, subtitle, problem title, the different paragraphs in each of the slides, and bullet points or something like that. So my whole end result is very structured, as you saw already. So it always have like this headline, the paragraph, the colored content, as well as some different bullet points. So we will always have like these 3 bullet points, colored headlines, as well as a simple text with an image, with headlines. We'll always have this rigid structure that we are following. That's why I'm asking AI to generate a very rigid structure in the content itself, because later on we will be referencing this whole data in our HTML template. So that is why I'm using the system in this case. And the user prompt is the same information around the title and services and how it shouldn't mix this up, as well as the outline that was generated by the outline creator. And the end result will be JSON, will be in a JSON format, because I want to reference each of the different subtitle and title in a very rigid structure, as I already showed you. That's why I'm using a specific output format. I require a specific output format that basically means I'm using an output parser that will make sure that the end result is nicely formatted JSON with all this information around the lead magnet that we are generating, including all these pain points that are numbered, so 1, 2, 3, the title, the content, we are separated, and all this JSON is very structured, as you see, and that's why we can get a very nice sites in our Airtable, because we have a very rigid structure that can be reused for different purposes in this case. So I'm using an auto-fixing output parser. So whenever you press this require specific output format, you will have an option to include the output parser. And I'm always selecting the auto-fixing output parser that is basically run by AI. So the AI will always check if the output generated by lead magnet generator is always correct. And after that, we will need to insert the structured output parser down below, where we would insert our JSON template that this AI will need to fill. So basically I just repeat the same information where I insert the title of a property as well as the type, so it always will be a string. So if it sounds a bit complicated to you, you can always consult with ChatGPT or Claude, and it will definitely explain you all of this process, as well as generate you a simple input schema as well. That's why we can get like information from a lead magnet creator, and it wouldn't break or wouldn't lose or generate you a wrong JSON in this case. So that is like the lead magnet part. We using auto-fixing parser to get this wonderful and structured data. And the last part is the most easy one, as well as the most fun one, because we want to generate image, include it into our own HTML template, and send this all information after the PDF is created to the Airtable, so the database we are using. So the image prompt is a very simple one. Once again, I'm using a cloud model, and I'm basically saying, read this lead magnet creator content and generate me one image. And because we are using only one image in the slide, just right here, so it would be even more professional, and maybe a person would think that we generated these slides for them specific and not for, and it wasn't sent like for mass lead list. And of course all these images will be always a bit different for each of a client, and it will depend on the context that we are selling to. So it's whenever, for example, if you're selling to all the different companies that has a different context, you will always have this automatic image generated for each and specific industry. So it might be constructing, it might be marketing agencies, it might be a finance or banks or whatever. So each and every time you will have a separate and different image generated specific for that industry. And getting back to the prompt itself, I'm using a very simple prompt where I insert the context and in the instructions. So basically saying that you will need to read the complete slide presentation, identify the overreaching the theme of the presentation, and create a detailed image prompt that visually captures the central theme. I insert the guidelines, so it only should use 2 sentences. It should avoid abstract concepts, do not include any text elements, because sometimes AI just generate text elements that are not readable for humans. It's just a complete rubbish. So that's why I don't want to use any text at all, because it might look unprofessional in the end result. I'm giving an example prompt. I insert the important information, so basically repeat the most important information once again for it to really understand and see and follow the structure I provided. And in the last part, I'm just inserting the outline that I created, because this AI node will read the outline, it will know the overreaching theme of this slides, and after that it will generate an image prompt. So in this case, I can show you the test result. So after a couple of seconds, we get this simple prompt for the image generation system. Of course, you can very easily generate images manually by using Midjourney, Ideogram, Leonardo, or whatever tool you prefer. When I'm doing the API calling, I tend to use a Replicate app. Replicate.com/explore, you can find all the different models for image and video generation. So as you see, we had a lot of different models, from WaveSpeed to video to ideogram to DeepSeek, and all the different models. In my own use case, I'm using a specific model that is called Black Forest Labs /Flux Schnell. So this is a very professional and cost-efficient model that I'm using. And for you to use it, you will just need to have a Replicate account. You will need to connect your GitHub account and create an API key. Go to the API tokens and generate an API token that we will later reference in different API calls that you are doing. For you to use this API, you can just select the API and select the HTTP mode, and copy this curl command and insert it into your own HTTP request. So the same process all over again, just copy paste this curl command and select import. I already did that, so I want to repeat the same process, but the end result will be the same. So for this specific model that I'm using, that is Black Forest Labs Flux Schnell, I get in the post method, I insert the URL, I insert my API key in the authorization tab. I will select the content type as application JSON. I will include one additional parameter that will wait for the end result. And in the end result, in the JSON body, I will just insert and replace only one thing, that is the prompt part. So reference the prompt that was generated by the image prompt generator. And I will just insert it by selecting the JSON.text. You can change the aspect ratio if you want, so you can just play around with these different parameters. And whenever we press the step, an image will be generated. So as you see, one image is very cheap. Like 3 images cost you only 1 penny, so that is a very cheap and professional model that can generate you a very professional images for free. So this is the image it generated. Of course, make this prompt even more professional. In this case, we would just need to update our prompt or insert some additional instruction for it to follow, for it to not include any strange things. Sometimes it just need a couple of more examples or more instructions in this case for it to really work. So that's enough of me talking, and I need to finish this video. It's already getting a bit longer than I planned. So when we insert this image, we want to wait a bit for this image generator to really output the content and not just go to the next step automatically with no additional time between each of them, because in that case, if the image generator just lags a little bit, you wouldn't get the image and the placeholder in our lead magnet generator would be empty. That's why I'm using a wait node where I just ask for it to wait for 5 seconds. Of course, you can even make it 10 or 15 or 20 seconds. Where you would use a more pricey model that requires more time, you would just update the timing into the longer manner in that sense. But after that, we have an HTML node that is a bit more complicated, because I already pre-written a whole HTML template that basically will have all this AI content as well as the different tags and HTML parameters that you are seeing in this and presentation. So for a moment, I have only one slide theme, you would say, that I'm using in our own presentation. So already pre-written this with Claude. It generated me a full template. I just copy-pasted the end result with all this CSS and HTML tags. And the last part I needed to make is for Claude to insert placeholders where I would just reference the content generated by lead magnet creator. So basically, yeah, I can just show you the end result by pinning the data. I will execute previous nodes. When I have this whole data from the image generation and lead magnet creator, I just inserted it into the specific parts. So basically, I asked Claude to generate me with a placeholders, and I inserted the specific content from the last nodes that I was using. So I think it would be even more clear if I would show you the end result that I got from Claude from the time I was generating this template. So basically I asked Claude to generate me a template just like this, where you see different text placeholders, and when I select the code, I get this whole HTML text that I was using. And as you see, in the end, I just ask AI to generate me a placeholders like double curly brackets, a cover title, a cover subtitle, and etc. etc. So basically, copy paste this whole code. I inserted into the HTML template just down here. And instead of using Claude placeholders, I inserted my own placeholders that was generated by lead magnet creator. And whenever I test this step, I get the HTML template filled with the content generated by lead magnet creator. And now the last part is whenever we having this HTML, we cannot send this yet to our clients because we still need to have a document of some sort, so we can generate an image or a PDF. That would be like the most professional way. So we want to have this HTML exported to PDF format. The last part I'm using a pdf.co API that basically will generate a PDF from the HTML. So pdf.co is a suite of different APIs related to PDF exports, management, all the different stuff around it. So regarding to the pricing of this tool, so pdf.co offers you a very generous free trial with 10,000 credits, so you can try a lot of different API endpoints and see how this system can leverage your work. And the pricing for this tool starts from $9, so it's also very cheap compared to different services. So I really recommend this API. You can try this for free, and if you want to continue this work, you can just subscribe it for $9. So if you select the API docs and go to API documentation, you will see a bunch of different conversion times that you can do with PDF, from HTML to from Excel, from JSON and whatnot. So in this case, I'm using the HTML, so HTML to PDF. And I'm using this simple API call. So once again, copy paste the call command into the HTTP request node. And when I do that, I get the post method, the specific URL, the headers with my API key, as well as the JSON that I was using. And so we'll have this JSON set up for you as well in my own template that you will find down below. But basically, I'm referencing the HTML from the HTML node before, but instead of just using and referencing the basic HTML, I'm also cleaning it and replacing all these different symbols and spaces, because API call tends to break whenever it sees like this different spaces and whatnot. For the name part, I'm just saying that I want to title of a company .pdf. So basically it will be a PDF file with a company name. I select the paper size to be A4. I select the orientation to be landscape. Media type a screen. So there are different parameters that you can use from a pdf.co. So that is like how the pdf.co is set up. So I can pin the HTML data and show you how this pdf.co works. Basically, we'll just take this HTML and provide you with a link that we will be later referencing in our Airtable. So if you select the table, we get the URL of our presentation, so it will download it into our computer, and after that we have this wonderful presentation set up that we can later reference in our Airtable and send to our leads. So as you see, the image is generated, the text is generated, it is all filled in our template, and now we can just do the last part, that is to update this information in our Airtable. So we select the update Airtable node, we reference the same base and the table, we map columns based on ID, we insert the same ID from the get Airtable node, so from the first Airtable node where we get this ID. Moving on, we don't need to update the title, website or offer, but we need to include the lead magnet URL. I'm also written a very simple function with Claude that would insert the lead magnet file name as well as the URL of the content. So basically we can just reference the same URL. So whenever you're dealing with attachments, you always need to make sure that you follow the Airtable documentation. So whenever I select my presentation, I need to get this URL correctly. So that's why I'm using this simple function in the lead magnet part. And finally, I explain all this automation that you can use right now in order to generate a very professional lead magnets. If you have some questions around the automation, leave a comment, and if you want me to build a similar automation system for you, you can find my contacts down in the description below, book a call with me, or just write me an email. So I hope you really like this video, and see you soon.